I never thought my school dropout status could lead to my sister's amazing transformation. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The day the future I imagined shattered into a million pieces. I thought I was lost, but it turned out I was just the beginning of something extraordinary. It started early that morning. The sun barely crested the horizon, casting eerie shadows across my bedroom walls. My heart raced, thumping in my chest like a bass drum warning me of disaster. My mom's voice broke through the silence, frantic. "Jessica, come quick." I rushed down the hall, hair still a tangled wreck. In the living room, my sister Mia was standing there, eyes wide, trembling hands clutching a mysterious box. An unmarked package, wrapped in brown paper and tied with heavy, twine string. It looked ancient, like it belonged to a different time. "Look what I found," she whispered, as if the box carried the weight of the world. "Last year, I had dreams, plans. But skipping school and getting myself kicked out left all those hopes in ruins." I felt like I was drowning, while Mia, flourishing in her studies, took the role of the good daughter, the one who held our family together. Little did I know, my downfall would become the spark for her incredible rise. That box, though it emanated this strange energy. It almost hummed in my hands as I reached out. "What is it?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, like we were trespassing on forbidden ground. She shook her head, eyes luminous with excitement. "I don't know, but I have to open it." The air thickened. I felt sweat prick at my skin like tiny needles. The unknowing wrapped itself around us, holding our breath hostage. With trembling fingers, she tore through the string, revealing intricate carvings etched into the wood. The symbols glinted ominously, as if they were poised to tell lost secrets. Suddenly, a burst of light exploded from the box. I staggered back, heart racing, a cold shiver tracing down my spine. "Mia!" I shouted, panic clawing at my throat. The room filled with a vibrant glow, swirling around us, choking the air. Then, silence. A deafening emptiness engulfed the space where the light had just danced. Mia dropped the box, her face pale. What just happened? I couldn't process it. Questions churned in my mind. Had we awakened something? My sister, suddenly bedridden by an unsettling fear, the sound of her heartbeat drowned out by mine. She was the bright star, the one who deserved to shine, and now, she felt diminished. I feared for her. What if that light was a curse disguised as a gift? And in that moment, a chilling thought crept in. What if my dropout status had opened a door, one that would alter everything we knew? I stared at Mia, my heart heavy with dread. What did we just uncover? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The days following the incident blurred into a series of restless nights and half-hearted conversations. Mia was recovering physically, but the transformation within her was both profound and unsettling. I watched her closely, seeing the flicker of doubt in her eyes where once there had been clarity. Our once easygoing banter had turned into measured exchanges, weighted with unspoken fears that I took to wandering the streets in search of distraction, allowing the vibrant life outside to fill the void haunting the space between us. The laughter of children echoed in the park while parents enjoyed small moments of joy. I would often sit on a bench, observing the sun-drenched faces, longing for the ease and serenity they radiated. Meanwhile, that box sat unopened on the kitchen counter, a silent reminder of our uninvited destiny. One afternoon, as I strolled down Main Street, I bumped into Mrs. Thompson, our elderly neighbor who had once been the embodiment of kindness. Her back was slightly hunched, but her eyes still sparkled with warmth. "Jessica," she called out, beckoning me closer as she sifted through her shopping bags. "How's your sister doing?" Her genuine concern tugged at my heartstrings. "She's alright, I guess. Just a bit under the weather lately," I replied, forcing a smile that felt tight on my lips. I wanted to say more, to spill the inner turmoil that was stirring within, but the words caught in my throat, drowned in self-doubt. "Mrs. Thompson patted my hand gently, her touch grounding me. "You know, dear, sometimes even the strongest light casts deep shadows. You mustn't forget that." Her voice was filled with wisdom, as if she could see right through my facade. That I nodded, touched yet confused. Could she possibly know the chaos that was brewing in our home? Just as I was about to step away, she thrust a small envelope into my hand. "For you and Mia. Open it together when the time feels right." Stunned, I took the envelope and felt a spark of curiosity pierce through the fog of anxiety surrounding me. "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson," I whispered, grateful for her kindness, though apprehensive about what it contained. Later that evening, I sat across from Mia at dinner, the atmosphere suffocating under the weight of unspoken words. "I ran into Mrs. Thompson today," I mentioned casually, hoping to draw her out of her shell. Mia looked up, her eyebrows knitting together. "Oh. Is she okay? She gave us something," I replied, holding up the envelope delicately, as though it were made of glass. As I opened it, a small, finely crafted key slid into my palm. It shimmered, the metal cool against my skin, and an ancient symbol was engraved on its surface, oddly reminiscent of the carvings on the box. "What is it?" Mia asked, her curiosity piqued. "I don't know. But there's something about it, something magnetic," I murmured, intrigue spiraling through my veins. Without giving it much thought, I suggested we go back to the living room. We sat together beneath the gauzy light of the lamp, the key resting between us like a secret waiting to be uncovered. Could it be a key to the box? Mia asked, hope flickering in her voice. "Maybe." I bit my lip, my mind swirling with the questions that shadowed me. What if opening it changed everything? What if the secrets within could heal us, or worse, shatter whatever fragile bond we had left? With a deep breath, we leaned towards the box. Mia reached out, her fingers brushing against the weathered surface as I raised the key, poised to unlock the enigma before us. A pulse of energy ran through my fingertips, igniting both fear and excitement. As the key slipped into the lock, a soft click resonated in the room, echoing like a hammer against the heart. We exchanged glances, and then I turned the key. Suddenly, the air grew thick again, and the room shimmered with the same vibrancy as that morning. The box creaked open, unveiling a swirling mist that curled and twisted as if alive. Within it, I caught glimpses of images, echoes of moments long past and shadows of lives that could be. Some were filled with laughter, others with despair. And then, a face emerged. It was a man, familiar yet distant. My heart raced, recognition dawning as I realized it was our father lost to us long ago. Breathless, I reached out, tears blurring my vision, as he smiled gently, his voice softly calling our names. Mia. Jessica. Hope surged through me, but it was quickly engulfed by something darker. I sensed something was off. What if this figure wasn't real? What if he was a mere figment, a twisted creation of the box, meant to lure us into a false sense of security? Just as quickly as he appeared, he began to fade, leaving us with nothing but shadows and echoes of a past filled with questions. Mia. I turned to her, but panic twisted my stomach as I saw her gaze fixed on the box, her expression shifting to confusion and something I had never witnessed before. Ambition mixed dangerously with longing. "Mia, wait!" I cried out, but she seemed entranced, inching toward the box as if it held the answers to everything we had lost, and in that moment, I realized with terror that I had only opened a door to new uncertainties, a path filled with potential dangers, and neither of us knew if we were prepared to face what lay ahead. The sudden flicker of Mia's ambition sent a jolt through me. Watching her lean closer to the box, I felt a volatile mix of protectiveness and dread swelling within me. "Mia, don't!" I reached out, grasping her wrist gently but firmly, as if that physical connection could tether her to reality. She glanced back at me, disbelief illuminating her features. "Jess, it's him. It's Dad. We could finally communicate with him, find out what happened, but what if it's just a trick?" I challenged, my voice barely above a whisper. "What if it's not real?" Torn between the breathtaking allure of the vision before us and the gnawing fear that clutched at my gut, I was paralyzed. The air around us thickened with the dense energy of what lay within the box, and I could feel the weight of its potential pressing down on my chest. "We've been waiting for answers our whole lives." Mia shot back, her eyes gleaming with an intensity one hadn't seen before. "Don't you want to know, more than anything?" The truth tumbled out, and my heart swelled with longing. "But I don't want to lose you in the process." The tension hung between us like a taut string, ready to snap at any moment. I could see Mia waver, her resolve briefly shaken by the gravity of my words. But then she shook her head, the flicker of determination reigniting like a fire in her eyes. "What if this is our chance?" With that, she leaned forward again, her resolve intensified, and I felt my grip on her wrist loosen involuntarily. Panic surged through me, and I whispered desperately, "Mia, please don't. We don't know what will happen." As she reached a hand into the swirling mist, the shadows blurred around her, flickering like shattered glass. The vision of our father once again became sharper, his silhouette awaited her just beyond the curtain of fog. "Mia!" I shouted, jerking her back as if pulling her from a trance. But she pulled away, a deep resolve set in her expression. "I need to do this. Mia!" I cried out again, the fear in my voice unmistakable. "What if I can't let you do this?" The mist began to swirl more violently as she hovered on the edge, her breath shallow. Just as I was about to lunge forward, the box erupted with a blast of light, casting us both back as it released an echoing sound, like a roar of ancient winds. When we staggered to our feet, I watched as the fervent glow settled, revealing a figure standing in the center of the room, a woman, somehow ethereal and terrifying all at once. The air shimmered around her, curling in ways that felt familiar yet sinister. I trembled, instinctively stepping closer to Mia, but she stood frozen, captivated by the figure who bore traces of our mother's features which I had long forgotten. "Mia, Jessica," the figure spoke, a haunting echo resonating within the walls of our scattered memories. The words wrapped around us, wrapping me in a mix of longing and fear. "You sought the truth, and here it lies before you, Mom." I gasped, my heart pounding, the walls of my mind crumbling at the edges. But before we could even step forward, the figure smiled a soft, inviting smile that did not eliminate the air of danger surrounding her. "Seek the truth, but remember, with every answer comes a price." "What do you mean?" I managed to choke out, battling the dizziness enveloping me. I quickly glanced at Mia. She looked as lost and bewildered as I felt. "What kind of price?" Mia echoed hesitantly, her voice smaller than usual. The figure's eyes glinted, a knowing spark igniting within their depths. "To understand your past is to confront your desires, their strength and their shadows. Can you bear what lies beneath? Are you prepared for the transformation?" With that, the air crackled ominously. The room felt smaller, darker, as shadows crept in from the corners, swirling around us, feeding off our uncertainty and igniting our fears. I felt snared between the belief that this was possibly a moment of reunion and the dread of uncovering what had caused our family to fracture, and then I glanced at Mia to gauge her expression. But what I saw was a complexity of longing and ambition intertwined with something unsettlingly fierce. "Mia, we have to think this through," I urged, fearing for her, fearing for us, as the shadows threatened to swallow us whole. Before she could respond, the figure in the mist extended her arm, beckoning us closer, her voice floating through the chaos like a haunting melody. "Come, children. The truth awaits you, and the key is locked within your hearts." Just then, I felt the ground tremor lightly beneath us, as if confirming the gravity of her words and shaking the very foundation of our reality. Would we dare step forward into the unknown and unveil the shadows lurking within, or would the truth prove too dangerous for our bond to withstand? I grabbed Mia's hand firmly, anchoring us both, and took a tentative step forward, bracing myself against the surging tide of uncertainty. The moment stretched into eternity, a pivot upon which everything hung, but in that pivotal instant, I felt an alarming realization overtaking me. Here would be no going back, and as the swirling mist enveloped us once more, the only thing echoing in my mind was the chilling question: what if the transformation awaited us was not what we had hoped for? The room felt electric, the tension between us thrumming as we stood at the precipice of the unknown. With my heart racing, I squeezed Mia's hand tighter. Her determination radiated from her, a magnet for the shadows swirling around us, as if they were feeding off her ambition. "Mia, wait," I urged, feeling the desperation clawing at my throat. "We don't know if this is safe." Her expression faltered for just a heartbeat, a candle flickering in a storm, but then steadied again into something resolute. "Jess, you heard her. This is our chance." The air thickened as the figure, the essence of our mother, hovered imperiously, her smile teasing the corners of fate while the shadows snaked around her, ensnaring the light. My stomach twisted at how similar she looked, the same curve of her jaw, the wave of her hair, the way her eyes seemed to pierce through me as if she could see my every doubt and every fear. "What is the price?" I repeated the question, my voice shaky with uncertainty. "There is always cost to knowledge, dear children," the figure replied, her voice swirling like the mist. "But the only true price is your willingness to face the darker parts of yourselves. Only together can you navigate what comes next." "What does that even mean?" I shot back, dread bubbling to the surface. Mia's eyes glinted with fervor, a wildfire ignited by hope that I couldn't squelch. She took a step forward, breaking the sanctity of our grip. "I want to know, Jess. Please, this is my chance to understand who I am, who we are." "Mia," I pleaded, desperation seeping through my voice. "It could change everything, even us. Are you really ready for that?" But she looked at me, and in that moment, I saw something I hadn't before: a flicker of pain, a yearning buried deep within her. The shadows danced around her, seeming to amplify her longing. "I need to know. I can't live in the dark anymore." My chest constricted as the realization hit me like a thunderclap. This wasn't just about our mother anymore, this was about Mia's journey of self-discovery. I shook my head, torn between wanting to protect her and recognizing her need to break free. "Sometimes knowledge isn't freedom," I whispered, guilt gnawing at my heart. "What if it chains you in a way you can't escape?" The figure watched us intently, her gaze unyielding as if the truth hovered just behind her ethereal presence. "You must choose, children, either face the truth together or accept that the darkness will consume you both." Mia's resolve hardened, her breath steadying. "I'm ready, Jess. I want to face it." As she steadied herself, I felt the ground shift beneath us, like an unseen tide pulling us deeper into the abyss. I released her hand. My instinct to protect clashed violently with the bond of sisterhood that connected us. Just then, the shadows intensified, closing in as if they were drawn to the strength of Mia's resolve. "Mia!" I shouted, panic prickling at the edges of my mind. But she was too far gone, too consumed by the possibility of connection with the ghost of our past. Before I could regain my footing, the figure extended her hand once more. "Step into the truth, children, and you shall see." A shimmering path unfurled from the figure to Mia, pulsating with a strange allure. The shadows hissed and crackled, merging our fates at that moment of irrevocable choice. Before I could process my racing thoughts, Mia stepped forward boldly. The glowing mist swallowed her whole, cloaking her in its otherworldly embrace. Could I let her go? The shadow of my doubt pitched heavy in my chest as I stood paralyzed, my heart racing. I needed to follow her, I knew that, but the fear kept me anchored. It was as if time held its breath, a fragile moment stretching infinitely. I called out to her, "Mia, please. Don't lose yourself." But the allure was intoxicating. I could see her silhouette, bright against the swirling colors. "Jess! Please, join me." In that brief seconds before I could act, realization dawned. What if this was the catalyst, the very transformation Mia had been yearning for? But at what cost to her own identity, to our shared past? As her form dissolved into the light, the shadows roared, ravenous for the joining of our destinies. Tearing myself from the stifling grip of doubt, I took a deep breath and followed, ready to confront whatever awaited us. The moment I crossed into the mist, sensations washed over me like a storm, visions of our childhood memories, feelings of abandonment, echoes of laughter and pain swirling chaotically. Just as I thought a connection was forming between us, something slammed against my mind, breaking me from the memory's hold. Mia. I screamed, my voice lost in the shifting landscape as the shadows enveloped me. And then, just before the mist consumed me, a chilling realization struck me to my core. Amid the warmth of the memories, something fundamental was missing. The shadows concealed another truth. What if Mia and I were about to uncover something that threatened to shatter our lives forever, an unspeakable choice that changed our understanding of family, identity, and sacrifice? The mist thickened around me, the darkness whispering doubts and promises as we both ventured deeper into the shadow of our truths. What awaited us on this path that blurred the boundaries of love and fear? And would I be able to bring Mia back before she lost herself entirely? In the depths of the suffocating mist, my heart ached with disorientation, and the raw intensity of the shadows pressed in around me. Each pulse of the darkness felt like a heartbeat pulsing in time with my dread. I tried to call out for Mia again, but my voice mingled with the whispers of forgotten truths that fluttered in and out of my grasp, tantalizing and terrifying. Mia. I shouted once more, the desperation in my tone peaking as I stumbled forward. The ground beneath my feet shifted, an unsteady path laden with secrets. Flashes of memories surged, hauntingly familiar yet tinged with an underlying tension that made my skin crawl. Suddenly, a figure materialized from the haze, and a chill snaked its way along my spine. It was a younger version of our mother, her expression tranquil yet imprinted with worry. "You must keep moving, Jess," she urged, her voice a gentle pull amidst the chaos. "Time is woven together here. What is lost can be found, but it requires the courage to face the truth." "Where is Mia?" I cried, the sharpness in my voice betraying my fear. "Is she safe?" Her eyes fluttered momentarily as she seemed to gaze beyond me. "Mia is searching for herself, dear. But do not follow her too blindly. The answers she seeks may come at a price you're not prepared to pay." A fissure of doubt tore through me, mingling with the hesitation that had clung to my heart. Just moments ago, I had stood resolute next to her. Now I felt frayed, like a thin thread attached to something unraveling. "What kind of price?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Identity is a fragile thing, Jess," she replied softly, her ethereal presence flickering like candlelight. "In her quest, she risks losing parts of herself irrevocably. You both share a bond stronger than blood, but the shadows know how to exploit every weakness." Before I could respond or comprehend her warning, another surge of darkness enveloped me, dragging me backward. "No!" I gasped, my desperation echoing through the thick air. I was engulfed in a torrent of emotions, fear, anger, longing, all swirled together in a tempest. Sliding across the ground, my hand instinctively reached out, clawing for balance. Just as I thought I might be lost, I stumbled upon a glimpse of light breaking through the shadows, dancing fragments of laughter I recognized as ours from long ago. "Mia, wait!" I shouted, a sudden wave of hope rushing over me as I caught her silhouette again, nearby. The strands of love that intertwined us illuminated my path, but as I drew closer, the laughter darkened into something hollow. The shadow memories echoed tales of our past, shimmering with shards of pain I had fought to forget, a kaleidoscope of scattered truths locked away in the depths of our hearts. "Mia, please!" I begged as I reached the edge of a strange space suspended between worlds. It was a crossroads of choices, each one branching into obscurity as echoes of our childhood argued around us. "You don't have to do this. Let's find the truth together." Mia, her name left my lips like a prayer. The figure standing beside her shimmered with familiarity. It was our mother, yet she looked hauntingly different. Layers of darkness enveloped her. The shadows seemed to crawl up her form, stealing away pieces of light. I felt my heart clang painfully in my chest. What had this journey unearthed? "I want to know everything," Mia cried, her voice an anthem of yearning. "I'm ready to embrace all parts of myself." Seeing her standing there, resolute yet translucent with unshed tears, I felt a prick of guilt. For years, I had acted as her protector, but now, I was losing her to a darker urge. You could lose yourself in this, Mia. Is now truly the time for this kind of reckoning? I'm not afraid, she breathed, but the uncertainty woven through her words sent tremors through me. I can't go back to hiding in these shadows. I can't be second to your dreams. Each syllable felt like a dagger, and with dawning realization, I understood the gravity of our situation. Beneath her fierce glance lay the weight of longing for individuality, a hunger to step out of my larger-than-life shadow. Just then, the air crackled as the shadows twisted, and the air grew heavy, laden with the secrets they swallowed. Mia! I reached for her just as a devastating crash echoed around us. The room darkened as reality unraveled. The mist parted to reveal tendrils of light pulled apart by unseen hands, revealing fragments of the pasta-crumpled photograph of us nestled together, laughing in our mother's arms, and yet our faces were obscured by a shadow that loomed larger than our memories. Mia, be careful! I yelled, but it was too late. A rift formed, twisting the air and swallowing truths. No! I screamed as the edges of the photograph shattered into countless pieces, each fragment sprawling away into nothingness. And in that moment, I understood I had to make a choice. Mia's transformation and my fear were intertwined like vines strangling a tree, and if I didn't act now, we might both lose something essential and irretrievable. As the shadows drew near, tempting, seducing, I made a decision that reverberated through my very soul. I will not let you go. With that declaration echoing in the depths of my heart, I pushed through the formidable barrier, racing towards her as the darkness surged, a final clash of love and loyalty against the looming shadows. Would facing our past together light the path toward healing, or would it plunge us further into despair? The impenetrable dark beckoned, and for the first time, I felt the weight of impending doom pressing against my chest, the unbearable burden of what awaited us on the other side. The mist parted slightly as I dashed toward Mia, revealing snippets of our childhood, the apple tree in our backyard, the swing set, and laughter echoing in the distance. Each memory tugged painfully at my heart, illuminating how deeply we were intertwined. But those moments faded into the background as the shadows loomed larger, and I felt their dark tendrils reaching out, eager to ensnare us both. Mia! I yelled, desperation clawing at my throat. Don't let it win. We can fight this together. Her gaze flickered, the fire within dimming for a moment, but she turned her back to me, standing resolute against the encroaching darkness. I need to do this for myself, Jess. If I don't confront this, then what's the point of my journey? You've always been my shield, but now I need to forge my own path. The words cut deeper than any blade, resonating with the truth I had tried to deny. Every decision I had made to protect her had also stifled her growth, molding her into an image I wanted rather than allowing her to blossom into who she truly was. The shadows wrapped around us, filling the air with an unsettling dread, but I refused to back down. My heart raced as I took one cautious step forward. But that path could destroy you. The past isn't just a story, it's a maze, and we don't know what lies at the end of it. What if it leads you to something that can't be undone? I've spent too long hiding, Jess. Mia shouted back, her voice echoing like a siren call. Don't you see? I cannot fear what I might find. I need to know who I am apart from you. Anguish dripped from her words, and the shadows danced around her, celebrating the despair that had begun to fracture our bond. Before I could respond, the darkness surged forward like a living entity, and Mia was engulfed in it momentarily. I gasped, my heart pounding in my chest, but the shadows slowly receded, revealing her again more determined but visibly shaken. In that moment, the specter of our mother stood beside her, aglow with memories both tender and tumultuous. Mia, I interjected, my voice trembling with urgency. You don't have to be this if you want to confront the shadows, then we confront them together. Abandoning your sister for the sake of knowledge isn't freedom, it's fear masked as bravery. We can face it as one, join me then. She cried, her voice fierce yet laced with vulnerability. Face our past. I can no longer live in the reflection of your strength. I want to forge my own identity. Behind her, our mother's figure wavered, shadow flickering in and out as though caught in an eternal struggle. With brimming tears, I stepped forward again, the gravity of our mother's reminder pushing me onward. Do you remember those early morning talks under the apple tree? I implored, tears streaming down my cheeks. We promised to always stand by one another. I haven't been your adversary, I've been your biggest champion, protecting you, but I now realize what I've truly done. I never wanted you to feel second to my light. That I love you, Jess, she replied, her bottom lip trembling. But I need to grasp my own power. I can't live in your shadows any longer. The darkness began to pulse rhythmically, as if it sensed the grief and tension between us, eager to consume our hopes and dreams for the sake of chaos. It's too much, I shouted, feeling the shadows lurch toward us. We're stronger together. Please, Mia, don't let the darkness deceive you into believing you must choose between us. We can remember our roots and still grow. A glimmer of doubt flickered in her eyes, a break in her resolve. Before it transformed again, she inhaled deeply, steeling herself as if the fight was already lost. Sometimes to grow, something must be left behind, she whispered, her voice breaking. Just then, the ground beneath us trembled, and something unseen lashed out, separating us. I stumbled, the shadows swirling furiously around me, but I refused to let go. Mia. No! I screamed as she was pulled farther away. Fear clawed at my heart, and I could only watch, paralyzed by the powerful grip of the dark. The air crackled, filled with ancestral echoes of our family's hidden truths radiating painfully within me. In that moment, a thought pierced through the chaos like a knife. Deep within the shadows lay fragments of our past that could either tear us apart forever or bind us in unexpected unity. The chance still existed to mend our fractured bond. Mia! I cried, voice raw with emotion. You won't be lost if we do this together. Suddenly, a vibrant light erupted from the core of the shadows, illuminating everything for a split second, and a voice echoed above the clash. Now you must decide, will you embrace the darkness and risk losing everything, or stand united to confront what once was? I could see her, determined yet quaking under the weight of her decision. And then, as the light flickered desperately, an unexpected ray surged between us, a small token of hope shining amidst the tempest brewing before us. Mia, the space between us pulsed with energy, the weight of the world hung heavy in the air as the choice danced upon her lips. But as she hesitated, the ground beneath us quaked violently, the shadows closing in as if sensing the vulnerability born from our shared fear and love. The reality of our situation twisted like a noose around my heart. If we couldn't find our way back, the love that had fueled my strength might become the very thing that shattered her hopes forever. In that moment, I saw something I didn't expect, a flicker of betrayal behind her determination. A twist of fate lingered like a dagger's edge, and for the first time, I questioned if we could ever truly understand each other amidst the chaos that now surrounded us. Would the shards of our past truly bond us, or was the darkness finally pulling Mia toward the unknown, where it could claim her forever? With the ground trembling and shadows pressing in, the air thick with uncertainty, I felt my heart split open. Deep down, a chilling question burrowed its way into my mind. What if this wasn't just a struggle against darkness, but perhaps even against each other? Mia, I reached out, fingers straining against the void that stretched between us. We can't just give in to what happened before. We can shape who we are now. Her face, usually so full of life and laughter, was drawn and pale. You don't understand, she shouted, the shadows swirling angrily around her. The wounds go deeper than you know. I can't wear the bandages you've placed over them any longer. With every word, I could see pieces of her spirit being pulled back into the murky depths of memory, each stylishly dark tendril whispering lies of inadequacy and doubt. Desperation pressed against my chest as I moved closer, my hands trembling. Mia, no! I called out, fear surging through me like wildfire. You are so much more than this anguish. You are brave, intelligent, light. Just remember the nights we spent together, bonding over every trial and triumph. You are not defined by our past but what you choose to carry forward. tears streamed down her face, sparkling like the embers of a fading fire. "And what if I choose something you can't accept?" She shot back, the air crackling with unspoken rivalry beneath the surface of her words. "I would never turn my back on you. I'd fight for you until my last breath." The deep love I felt for her surged through the weight of despair. For the briefest moment, the shadows retreated, granting us both a sliver of hope. But confusion lingered in her eyes, and it broke my heart to see the conflict tearing at her soul. "But what if my fight leads me to places you can't follow?" She pressed a hand to her chest, the weight of her internal struggle evident in every furrow of her brow. A moment of silence fell between us, thick with possibilities yet heavy with the weight of disappointment. I could see her wavering, and I tried to grasp onto anything that could pull her back. "We always promised to protect each other. Don't let this darkness decide. Your brother is here, Mia, let's turn the tide together." The shadows seemed to throb with anticipation as they sensed her fear. I could feel them feeding on her doubts, growing stronger as her resolve began to weaken. Just as Mia was about to succumb, a memory flooded into my mind, one I had buried deep in the chaos of living. That day in the car when we both heard the whispers of doubt wrapped around our mother's laughter and the subsequent storm of secrets it revealed, the first time we saw the apple tree bloom, I began, voice trembling but steady. "We thought it was magic. It felt like the whole world was rooting for us. Remember how we made a promise to each other as we sat in its shade? No matter what, we would bloom even when the winds tried to uproot us." Mia's expression softened at the memory, a flicker of warmth breaking through the icy grasp of the shadows. But even as that light bloomed, the darkness shivered with anger, battling against our shared history. "You're still trying to hold me to our past," she whispered, anguish in her eyes, before the shadows lashed out fiercely again, causing her to stagger back. "You don't understand. I need to be more than our childhood. I need my truth, I know, Mia." I pleaded, my throat constricting raw, tears spilling onto my cheeks. "But finding your truth doesn't mean losing yourself, or us. You're part of who I am. Just like the apple tree that stood strong in the storm, anchored by its roots. Why can't we fight the darkness and discover who we are together?" Yet even as the shadows continued to swell with fury, I sensed the chill of uncertainty wrap around her heart. Don't know if I can do that. What if I become someone you cannot love?" Those words hit me harder than I anticipated, pulling the air from my lungs. The panic began to rise once more, thrumming painfully against my chest. "Mia, you are loved. You are capable of understanding, of kindness. You deserve joy, and I will be here for you no matter what. Don't believe what the darkness tells you. It wants to create division." The intensity surged again, spiraling into a suffocating silence, humming with the electricity of our unspoken fears. Just then, the ground erupted with revelation. A singular shadow broke off from the chaos, transforming into an ethereal form of our mother. My heart caught in my throat, words escaping me as the image flickered before us both. "Mia. Jess." It was her voice, unmistakably dealing with authority and tenderness. "Your journey has been woven into the fabric of your lives. You are not separate entities but strands bound by love. Recognize this bond amidst the shadows, and together, you can forge a new path." Suddenly, I felt the warmth of the memory bloom again, encasing us in glow. But even as hope enveloped me, the darkness surged forward violently. "No!" I screamed as I felt my feet being pulled back, the weight of legacies clinging to me like chains. "We can do this together." As the tattered familiar figure faded into the chaos, a revelation ripped through me, igniting a mix of despair and newfound determination. I turned back to Mia, desperation fueling my next words. "If you leave now, you risk getting trapped in isolation. I could lose you forever." In that moment, the fissure grew only wider, but I could see the flicker of understanding dancing in Mia's eyes. "Jess, please!" she cried out, the anguish spilling over. "I'm terrified. What if this choice leads me away from you?" I reached for her, my hand grazing the barrier of dark energy that pulsed between us. "I'll always be with you, no matter where you go. You are my sister, my heart the light that cuts through the shadows. I believe in you. Choose to believe in us." She hesitated, and in that heartbeat, I felt the strands of our shared life intertwining, fighting back against the engulfing void. But before I could breathe a sigh of relief, everything erupted in chaos again. The shadows roared and wielded their merciless grasp around her, laying siege on her heart. "Jess!" Mia cried, choking on her words as the overwhelming darkness consumed her again, pulling her into its malevolent embrace, leaving me desolate and hollow, frozen in a world where love and shadows collided. And in that moment, I knew that the struggle was only just beginning. Each second felt like a lifetime as the darkness clenched tighter around my heart, and a singular truth crashed down upon me: our connection was tested, but the shadows might sever the fragile threads of our bond for good, tearing apart not just our identities but our hearts. With the tempest of shadows swirling around me, I waded into a tide of despair as Mia's shrieks echoed in my mind. Each cry pierced through the darkness like a jagged blade, relentless and unforgiving. I could feel the cold tendrils grasping at her, and every moment felt as if I were standing on the edge of a cliff with no safety rope to catch her if she fell. "Mia!" I shouted into the void, desperation clawing at my throat. "Remember how we promised each other we'd always find a way back, no matter how lost we became?" But my words, though fervent, faded into the oppressive silence that encapsulated us, like whispers swallowed by a vast ocean. The chaos dimmed for the briefest moment, allowing space for fleeting glimmers of light, the memories of laughter, the warmth of our shared ambitions, the dreams we had spun under the stars. I could almost hear our mother's instructions blending with those recollections. "You must nurture each other's sparks, even when the world tries to snuff them out." But instead of solace, those memories engulfed me with a deeper sorrow. They were tainted by a frightful thought that wrapped itself around my mind like a serpent: what if this was it? What if I had already lost her in the tide of shadows? Kneeling on the ground, crushed by the weight of my feelings, I racked my brain for a solution, any glimmer of hope. I had to make her see that the depths of her truth didn't have to be a solitary plunge. As if the universe had suddenly awakened with urgency, a flicker of inspiration ignited within me. I would seize upon our past together. I could bring forth the intangible bond that still existed between us, the shared laughter, the tears, the dreams we had woven with threads of hope. They were memories forged in resilience, capable of breaking the shackles even the fiercest shadows sought to impose. Suddenly, I leapt to my feet, my heart surging with renewed determination. "Mia!" I shouted again, my voice reverberating through the chaos. "I refuse to let the shadows claim you. Remember when we discovered that hidden grove, the patch of sunflowers, the way they turned to the light no matter how many storms tried to break them?" There was a tremor in the air, and for just a heartbeat, I could have sworn the shadows paused, as if intrigued by my invocation of our shared history. "Those flowers stood against the wind, Mia. They thrived in adversity. Just like you. You are brave and so much stronger than you realize. Fight back. You are the sunflower. Turn towards the light." The darkness flickered ominously, still not relinquishing its hold, but I sensed her beginning to stir, a hesitance in her yearning call. "Jess, I don't know if I can be that anymore. What if I'm broken beyond repair?" In that moment, despair clutched at my heart with vicious claws, threatening to pull me under. "You're not broken," I called back, breathing through tears and fear. "You are whole because you're still fighting. Let me fight with you. Together, we can root out this darkness that wishes to dim our light." The shadows recoiled subtly, and I took the tiny flicker of hope as my anchor. "Please," I pleaded, urgency seeping into my voice. "Don't let them distort who you truly are. Embrace your truth. I will stand by you, no matter what shape that truth takes. You're not just my sister, but my forever friend, a part of every dream I've ever dared to have." A flicker of warmth ignited in her eyes, battling fiercely against the shroud of shadows. "But Jess, what if embracing my truth means?" For a moment, it felt like past and present collided, the life we shared, the fears we faced, and the dreams we harbored whispered in the void between us that it doesn't matter what change comes. I insisted fiercely. You're so much more than the darkness, and I'll never stop loving you. I believe in you and your ability to shape what you truly want. Remember, the apple tree we loved so much did not bloom on command, it wrestled with seasons, battling storms, but it continued to grow, the roots digging deeper with every challenge faced. With a sudden, resounding clash, the shadows writhed, as though struggling to comprehend my words. A low growl rumbled through the void, but I couldn't let fear paralyze me. Mia. Fight. Remember the promise we made to each other. Bloom, even amid shadows. You are capable of more than you ever thought. The depths of darkness recoiled momentarily, and I saw her face shift, a mixture of pain and a tentative flicker of determination igniting her features. Jess, she whispered, as if the echoes of my words were resonating, taking root in the chaos. The shadows began to howl, furious and desperate, collapsing inward as dread threatened to consume that moment of resurgence. I was running on borrowed time, teetering on the brink of uncertainty, with the threat of losing my sister looming large. Then, as if a sudden wind had swept through our battle, the howling shadows began to throb in defiance. Instead of retreating, they twisted and turned, attempting to pull her under once more. Mia. I called out, desperation shredding through the air. Fight back, but just then, with a surge of untapped rage, she lifted her chin, her tears glimmering in the flashes of darkness and light. I refuse to let them define me. She shouted, her voice rising powerfully against the chaos surrounding us. In that heartbeat, the shadows trembled. They were no longer untouchable, they were vulnerable, shaken by her fierce spirit. But before I could celebrate what I hoped was a turning point, the shadows recoiled, morphing into a swirling vortex, feeding off the sparks of our confrontation. I could feel the pull of something dark and sinister, rising dangerously close to Mia. I screamed, shifting to brace myself against whatever darkness was gearing up to strike next. What if I can do this? She suddenly countered, her expression shifting, clarity emerging through the chaos. But there was an undeniable chill creeping back into her voice, betraying the flickering doubts that still gnawed at her heart. What if in fighting back, I lose everything we've ever been? And as her words hung in the air, a jaw-dropping revelation swept through the darkness, striking terror deep within. A furious whisper echoed among the shadows, carrying a foreboding promise. Then embrace your fate. In that gut-wrenching moment, I understood what she truly feared. It wasn't simply about fighting the shadows, it was about facing the very real possibility of losing our bond entirely. If part of her transformation meant relinquishing parts of her past that we shared, then how could I expect her to endure the battle that lay ahead? There's so much we haven't yet discovered. I breathed, my heart pounding erratically against the pressure of impending loss. We've just scratched the surface of who we can become. Don't let fear forge the end of our story. As the shadows billowed, anticipation hung thick in the atmosphere, but I could see the flickering flame of remembrance behind her gaze. But the whispers surged once more, crashing against my resolve with an ominous warning: enter the unknown, and risk everything. And while the depths of my heart screamed for her not to disappear into the depths of the dark, far away, I knew that wasn't the only battle raging on. The very fabric of our existence was being tested in ways we couldn't yet fathom. Every fiber of my being pulsed with urgency as I locked my gaze onto hers. Hope, anguish, love, it all coiled around us like a tempest. Mia, please. But just as her gaze hardened, fixing upon a newfound strength, an electric pulse rippled through the darkness, siphoning her nearer to the malevolent maw that threatened to consume us both. I felt time stretching beyond comprehension, teetering on a precipice that brushed against unspeakable truths. The shadows writhed, hunger deepening in their depths, and I knew then, with unfathomable dread, that this was merely the beginning. Until we clasped onto the truth of who we were destined to be, neither of us would emerge unscathed. Jess, she gasped, her expression shifting once more toward uncertainty, but beneath it lay something far more potent and transformative. As I reached for her yet again, holding on with every ounce of resolve, a flicker of determination sparked within me. Mia! I cried out against the storm enveloping us, refusing to relent. We were woven together from the very start. Don't let your light extinguish. We'll fight for our truth together. But then the shadows swirled one last time, churning with malevolent fury as they loomed closer. The realization hit me hard. This was a battle I could feel slipping away, and I wasn't sure if we'd survive the treacherous clash yet to come. Just as my heart began to sink again, another shriek rang out through the shadows, reverberating against the walls of despair, a declaration resonating with profound clarity. But I could barely decipher the flickers of hope fighting within the shadowy realm, and in that gut-wrenching moment, anticipation and disbelief clashed violently in my chest, leaving me teetering on the edge of loss once more, only to discover that shadows aren't the only things that can bind us. Suddenly, I could feel the ground tremble beneath me, foreshadowing what lay ahead, and I realized this battle was not just for Mia's heart and soul anymore, it was for the very essence of who we both were destined to become. The shadows, alive with malevolent energy, coiled tighter around us, pulsating like a heartbeat in the dark. The ground quivered beneath my feet, charged with an electric urgency that mirrored the turmoil within me. Mia! I shouted, pushing through the suffocating darkness, my voice a fragile beacon against overwhelming odds. Remember that day we nearly drowned trying to swim across that creek? It felt impossible, and yet we found a way. Her eyes flickered through the tumult, a mixture of hope and doubt swirling there. I could see her humanity battling with the deep-seated fears that shadowed her heart. But Jess, what if I don't come back? What if I change into someone who won't recognize you? I took a step closer, the icy tendrils of darkness whispered cruelly, urging me to retreat. You'll always be my sister. My heart thundered, desperate to breach that void. Your strength is your own, but it doesn't erase our journey or the love we share. You don't have to face this alone. With a fierce determination, I reached for her, fingers brushing against her outstretched hand. Yet, the shadows lashed out, a whirlwind of panic and ferocity as I felt their cold wrath slamming against me, trying to separate us once more. Each pulse brought echoes of her uncertainty, mingled with the tornado of my own desperation. Mia, you're more than what's wrapped around you. You're the flame in a dark room, you don't have to dim your light. The shadows roared in reply, their guttural howls drowning out everything, but I pressed on, refusing to falter. Remember what we always said, we are not just reflections of our past but harbingers of our future. You are not simply a school dropout. You have the power to reinvent yourself. As if my words had struck a chord with something buried deep within her, Mia's grip around my hand tightened for just a moment, fiercely defiant against the chaos that sought to pull her under. But what if my transformation means taking a different path than one we walked together? What if it leads me away from you? In that breathless instant, I understood. The shadows thrived on her doubts, feeding on the notion that rebirth required sacrifice. I couldn't allow the darkness to seep into her soul, sowing seeds of fear where hope might blossom. I could almost see the burning embers of her potential radiating through the haze. You don't have to choose between the old and new. You can carry your roots with you, every memory, every laugh, and still venture into the unknown. You can be both. The shadows recoiled ever so slightly, anger and confusion flaring in their depths. Fight, Mia! I cried out, heart pounding like a drum. We're more than the sum of our fears. You have that spark. It is your essence, and I will fight until my last breath to save you. For the first time, I witnessed an undeniable flicker of hope ignite in her eyes, pushing against the edges of her despair, even as the shadows surged around us. The growls reverberated, warning us of the stakes involved. I don't want to lose us. She yelled, desperation spilling from her core. What if we become something fragmented? What if I turn into a stranger? Listen to me. I implored, defiance surging. You are and will always be a part of me. If we grow together, we can create something new, something beautiful. I would brave any storm for the chance to witness you bloom. With each wave of resistance, the shadows lurched closer, demanding our attention, but I stationed myself unwaveringly, recalling every cherished moment we'd shared. Do you remember how we made that promise in the sunflower field? We vowed to be each other's light, no matter how dark it got. That's still true. The fight within you is not to run, it's to embrace the change and evolve. The shadows murmured, starting to fray their grip in response to her burgeoning strength. I saw Mia's gaze shift, caught between lingering fears and a flickering resolve. Her breath caught, a shudder of raw emotion flowing between us. I'm scared, she admitted, her voice cracking. What if becoming who I'm meant to be means leaving behind all that I know? What if I can't carry you with me? A wave of anguish surged through me, yet amidst it was a radiant pulse of belief. No matter the journey you embark on, I will always stand firm in your love and light. We've transcended the shadows before, and we can do it again. Together. Let's honor where we came from while stepping deeply into our futures. It's your path to walk, but not alone. The shadows screeched, their presence crescendoed with anger, but I refused to fear their might anymore. It was Mia's heart I was fighting for, a heart worth saving, worth rekindling. As her expression began to shift, a sense of clarity washed over her, and a spark of hope flickered into being. I want to try, she finally whispered, her voice steady now though still wrapped in uncertainty. I'm willing to see who I can become, but I don't know how. And just like that, a reverberation surged through the darkness, like a shockwave vibrating against everything we had clung onto. The shadows disintegrated momentarily, trepidation darting through their anger. I stepped forward, hand extended. Trust your journey, Mia. Through the unknown, I believe you will shine brighter than any dusk-draped fear. Yet, as she reached for me, the swirling shadows conspired again, their icy grasp reasserting its chokehold. An oppressive whisper slithered through the thickening air, resonating with undeniable warning: fate is not kind to the unprepared. Just then, a blinding pain flared through the void, erupting without warning, and I stumbled backward as an unseen force threatened to tear our connection apart. Mia! I cried, panic ripping through me. In an instant, a flood of shadows fused into a single mass, seizing her from my grasp. No! I screamed, reaching desperately as her eyes widened in horror. Jess, the words fell into chaos, her scream splintered into the void as the shadows swallowed her whole, flickering like a flame caught in a gale. The moment felt interminable, suspended in heart-stopping silence before a horrific truth crashed down. I'll find you. I yelled into the depths, my voice mere echoes against insatiable darkness. I will fight for you, for what you mean to me. And then the world convulsed around me, the shadows shifting violently as the recognition sank deep. This was not just a battle for transformation, it was a test of faith against the unspeakable darkness that sought to engulf us both. As I stumbled backward, dread pooling in my gut, the abyss ate at the edges of my vision, its chilling grasp leaving nothing but tentacled silence. Somewhere, buried within that malevolence, was a sliver of her light, and I dared not let it go. With every shred of my being, I realized that this was just the beginning of our fight. The road ahead was murky and convoluted, but something deep within me insisted we had yet to uncover the depths of our resilience. And with that gut-wrenching understanding, I could only brace myself for the storms ahead, clinging to hope in a world that felt so dark and uncertain, determined to confront whatever darkness awaited, even if it meant facing the shadows alone. The darkness dissolved into a shroud of confusion and sorrow as I grappled with the echoes of Mia's screams ringing in my ears. The cruel reality of the shadows demanded an unbearable price, one that threatened to fracture not just our bond but the very essence of who we were. Panic gripped my heart as I heaved, gasping for breath, still feeling the reverberation of her voice echoing through me like a haunting refrain. I want to fight for us, I whispered, half pleading, half anguished, into the stillness, hoping the universe would hear my desperation. The shadows twisted menacingly around me, growing tighter, fed by the fear pulsing within my core. I felt a tremor of uncertainty ripple through my soul, a whispering reminder of the fragility of our connection. With each passing moment spent in this darkness, a fresh wave of dread washed over me. If there was any hope of reaching Mia, of reclaiming the spark of humanity that flickered among the shadows. I had to find the courage to confront the depths of those darkened memories. Mom? I found myself calling out suddenly, my voice trembling and tentative amidst the chaos. The air shifted, as if the shadows paused, intrigued by my plea. I felt that familiar vibration, a deep ache, resonating through the shadows, inviting me to unravel the truths that had long lain buried. Maybe in this chaos, I would find a way to reclaim Mia. Perhaps the key to dispelling the darkness resided within me, a key that required confronting everything we had lost. The shadows swirled as I began to walk deeper into their embrace. Each step felt heavier, burdened by the weight of anguish we had carried far too long. Together I murmured softly, feeling the pulse in my heart align with every whispered memory. We can face the truth together. Suddenly, a vision emerged in the fog. My mind raced as I was thrust back to a time when we were sitting on the swing set, small and carefree, gripping each other's hands, making promises to always chase the stars. I could hear the laughter ringing in the air, mixing with the gentle rustle of leaves, the warmth of sunlight drenching us in golden hues as we spun dreams together. Jess, don't you think the stars are far away? Mia echoed in my memory, her voice cracking under the weight of uncertainty. What if they're just a part of us that we can never reach? No, I could hear myself reply, fierce with resolve. We find them together, Mia. It'll always help you see the light, no matter how far it is. I closed my eyes tightly, wishing to relive that moment, to wrap my heart around its essence again. That promise lived within me, still strong despite the dark maelstrom swirling just beyond reach. I will not lose you, I whispered, a fierce fire igniting as I waded deeper into the shadows. With every step, the memories twisted around me, the longing for her voice pulling me closer. I navigated through the suffocating void, letting the pain guide me toward the fragments of light strewn just out of reach. Mia. I called again, my voice rising above the dark, desperate to break through the encasing shadows. Jess, please. I heard her voice waft through the chaos, laced with despair that curled around my heart, tugging at the remnants of my courage. I followed her voice, feeling more alive with each flicker of familiarity that tugged at my soul, those echoes of childhood still pulsing with precious weight. Mia. My cry echoed, the shadows thick but softening in response. The darkness turned into a storm of memories, colliding moments that framed our trust and affection, defining the very root of who we were meant to be. And in that storm, a flickering light illuminated the shadows momentarily, revealing her figure entwined by tendrils of darkness, desperately clinging to something just out of reach. That I am so scared. She shouted, more feeling than sound, profound vulnerability shining through her brave facade. What if I'm not the same? What if I can't come back? Sorrow swept through me, and I stumbled towards her, every instinct telling me to reach out, but the shadows danced viciously, eager to snare me back into their midst. You are and always will be my sister. You're grounded in a love that cannot fade. We built our past together, and that history is unbreakable. Embrace who you are becoming. You don't have to choose between us. As my words echoed through the dimness, I saw a flicker of awareness in her eyes, a light shining through the fear that momentarily held the shadows at bay. But can I still find my light in this darkness? Mia responded, uncertainty laced with fragile hope filling the spaces between us. Yes. I exhaled, elbowing my way through the oppressive void. You've always known how to shine. Together we can discover that light anew. It's bigger than this darkness and this fear. Let our love guide you back. With those words, suddenly the shadows faltered, enveloping her, blending into a swirling mist, quivering against my declaration. Jess, she whispered, uncertainty cracking in her voice. Now was the moment. My heart raced as I summoned my courage and took a leap, extending my hand towards her. Mia. I called fiercely, the love swelling within me bursting outward into the ether, intertwining our destinies once more. Step into the light. Don't give in. With a fierce expression, she lifted her chin as though she could hear my heart reach for hers beyond the veil of darkness. Together. The shadows recoiled violently, sensing the unity of our bond igniting an unquenchable fire. Mia. I won't lose you. I roared, expanding with energy as I charged towards her. The darkness shrieked in liquid fury, but I pushed on, blazing forward, determined to reach her. I believe in you. I shouted just as I grasped her hand, our fingers intertwining against the swirling storm. In that moment, my heart resonated with hers, a brilliant tapestry woven in love and hope. The dark howled angrily as the sparks ignited, cascading light enveloping us, forcing the shadows into retreat. That I will embrace my truth. Mia cried, squeezing my hand tightly, the fear receding before the light. And together, we can create something fierce and beautiful. Light surged through us, a radiant force, illuminating our memories and our fears, and as the shadows frayed against the embrace of our interconnected light, we took that leap, pulling each other up from the depths. With an explosive burst, the very fabric of reality shimmered and shifted as we stepped into our truth. The darkness fell away to reveal a world anew, a radiant canvas painted with the hues of hope and strength, and as the last remnants of shadows skittered away, I felt an undeniable warmth envelop us both. "Thank you, Jess," Mia whispered, her smile lighting up the space around us like the dawn breaking. What had begun as a chilling fight now stood as testament, a reminder of fierce bonds and transformations sewn together in love. And as I gazed into her eyes, I knew what awaited us now was beautifully ours, unfurling into existence, proof that even in the face of darkness, the light of love would always guide us through. And in the silence that followed, brimming with endless possibilities, it all became crystal clear: the future was ours, brightening before us with every step we took together. "Together, always," I echoed softly, and that promise blossomed between us, threading through the fabric of our shared journey like a powerful mantra. Together, we would forge the life we desired, a life filled with love, resilience, and a bond that couldn't be dimmed by shadows. And as the sun rose high above, casting a cascade of colors across an infinite sky, everything whispered one undeniable truth: our story was still being written, and the brightest chapters were yet to come.